Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to discuss postpartum care with you all and all the things that happen to your body when you have a baby. Now, I will give a disclaimer, having a baby is not a glamorous affair. It's a lot of bodily fluids happening and a lot of things happening down there. So if you are easily grossed out, this may not be the video for you. But if you are currently pregnant or you're thinking about becoming pregnant, you definitely want to watch this video. Now, I am about 2 months postpartum. My daughter literally is 2 months today as I'm filming this video. So I wanted to try and get this out to you before I start to forget too many things that do happen, and I can give you guys like the most accurate information. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, hello, my name is Candace and I post videos on motherhood, lifestyle, beauty, and I also do some vlogging. If that sounds like your jam, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. All right, so before we jump into your postpartum care kit, I do want to discuss with you some things you may not have known that happened during the birthing process and just some things that happen right after birth. Now, if you see me glancing down, please, I apologize for that. That's just me looking at my notes. I jotted a few things down to make sure that I don't miss anything because I want to share with you guys as much as possible. If you do end up getting an epidural like myself, then you are going to receive a catheter, and it's just like this thing that they stick up your hoo-ha, but they don't actually stick it in the hoo-ha, they stick it in like the pee hole part, and so that's where you would pee, because once you get your epidural you can't really control anything that happens down there. You're going to be completely numb, so you know you'll pee through the catheter and it'll go into like this little baggy thing. I have heard that if you get a catheter without being on the epidural, that it can be very painful. Both times that I got my catheter, I was on the epidural, so I didn't feel anything. So just something to keep in mind. Now, I do want to also talk about the epidural. So the first time I made a birth plan and I wrote it down, I gave it to my doctor, I gave it to the nurses there, I posted it on the door. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew this is what I want to happen. And one of the things that was on my birthing plan was in bold letters, all caps, I want an epidural. I am not a person that is good at all with pain, so I knew I wanted to have that from the jump. With my first child, I didn't feel anything. Before the epidural, I felt like hell. It was awful. But once that epidural kicked in, I was good to go. It was like a party in the room. I was good. Once I got to the point of, I think I was like maybe 8 centimeters when I started to feel some things, but it wasn't pain. It was more so pressure. During the actual pushing process, again, no pain, only pressure. So I could feel what was going on down there, but it wasn't painful at all. I only could feel pressure. Now, with this second pregnancy that I just went through, I could definitely feel the contractions coming. It never got to the point where I was with my first pregnancy, because I kind of knew what to expect. I didn't wait long before getting the epidural. As soon as it was available to me, can I get one, please? And thank you. Send the anesthesiologist. So I got the epidural and I was feeling good. I'm like, okay, I don't feel anything. And it didn't take long before I started to feel pressure. I felt pressure at first, and I felt this like really strong urge to poop. And I know I've heard people say when it's time to push, then you kind of feel like you have to poop. I didn't poop on myself though, thank goodness. But I felt this strong urge like I had to poop. So I told the nurse, she checked, and I had jumped from 4 centimeters all the way up to, I think it was like 9 or 9.5 centimeters, something like that. So she called the doctor. So now I'm sitting here and waiting for the doctor to come in. They're getting all their stuff in order, and I'm starting to feel pain. It's not pressure anymore, it's pain. And it's almost like I could feel the baby like pushing her head downward, like ready to go. So during the actual pushing process, I couldn't like control it. Like it was like I have to push it, that sensation of her pushing her head down, I had to push, and it was hurting me. So the doctor told me to wait. At this point, her head was like semi already out. I was already crowning. Those few minutes when he told me to wait, I could literally feel her head ripping my vagina apart. Like it hurt. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like this unbearable, excruciating pain that, like, you know, I felt like I was about to die or anything like that. But it definitely hurt and I could feel it. So I'm saying all this to say, we all know every pregnancy is different. Every labor and delivery is different. So don't think that just because you've already had a child and you experience one thing that you're going to experience the exact same thing on your second, third, fourth, fifth, however many children you decide to have. Because my experience for the most part was the same, but as far as the epidural goes, my body didn't react the same way it did the first time around. I ended up tearing. The first time I got an episiotomy. With the episiotomy, they slit you. It was basically like from my vagina to like the butthole. Now with the tearing, I had a little bit right under like the vagina area going to the butthole, that little area right there. It was a little bit of tearing there, and it was tearing like around my vagina. So I ended up getting a 2nd degree tear, which is a 1st degree tear is like just surface. And then your 2nd degree tear is like surface and some muscle. So I had some 2nd degree tearing going on. Now, another thing I want to talk to you guys about is contractions. So after you have a baby, if you plan on breastfeeding, you are still going to get contractions. This was not something that I was expecting the first time around, but the second time around, I had already kind of prepped myself for it. The nurse will give you some painkillers. I believe it was Motrin 800 is what they gave me in the hospital. And that helps a little bit. It definitely eases the pain for the contractions. But basically all it's doing is when you're contracting after pregnancy, it's your uterus shrinking back down to size and going back into place. So when the baby, I don't know the science behind it all, but something about when the baby starts sucking, it like ignites something in your body and those contractions start to hit. So definitely keep that in mind. And if you are okay with taking medications while you're breastfeeding, go ahead and accept that Motrin, because it's going to be a savior. And speaking of the Motrins and just pain in general, it's also going to help when it's time to pee. If you did end up getting a tear or you got an episiotomy, I'm so sorry to inform you, it's going to hurt like hell when it's time for you to go to the bathroom. Now, the first time, if you ended up getting an epidural, you'll more than likely still have that in your system, so it won't hurt so bad. But after that, it's gonna hurt. Now, again, they give you the 800 milligrams of the Motrin, and I believe, if I can remember correctly, you take it every 8 hours. So it helps to kind of take the edge off during that process. But once you get home, honey, it hurts. Okay? It burns. Like, think about it. Pee is very acidic. And so if you're cut or you have any open wounds down there, it's going to burn when you're peeing. But that brings me to the first thing that you are going to need in your postpartum kit, and that is your peri bottle. So this is one that the hospital gives you, right? And there's a lot of other peri bottles out there on the market that are better than this, in all honesty. I'm gonna post one right here. This is from the Frida company, and I've heard that this one is so much better because of the angle on it. You can really just like squirt it up there and it, you know, it hits the hoo-ha in the right places. This one honestly works just fine as well. This one the hospital will give to you. I didn't order one prior to going into the hospital, so once I got out, I started using this one. It was fine. And you basically want to just like fill it up with like some warm water, and they will give you what is it called? It's called like a peri cleanser or something they give you also in the hospital. And so what you want to do is just put like a little bit of that peri cleanser in here and then fill it up with like warm water, not hot water, warm water. And then like while you're going pee, you can squirt it down there while you're peeing. And then you're also going to use it, squirt it down there to clean yourself, because if you did get tearing, you're not going to be able to rub to wipe yourself. You have to just dab. And so you clean with this and then you dab. what makes this whole process a lot easier as far as what to take into the bathroom and things like that, because it's a lot of stuff, I like to get a little basket. I got a basket like this that I could just sit on the back of the toilet, and it flips open so you can keep all your things, you know, nice and discreet if you don't just want your stuff hanging out there. And so that way when you go, you don't have to carry a bunch of things in the bathroom or have it under your cabinet. It'll just be sitting right there for you. You just turn around, get the things you need. So you need one of these. That's 100%. Another thing that the hospital gives you, and I didn't even use this. Well, I used one. I didn't like how it felt, so I didn't use it again. This is like a little ice pack. It's so big. So this part here is actually a pad, and then the ice pack is stuck to it. So you like crack it open, you fold it, and it like activates it or whatever, and then you just kind of stick it under, like in your panties. But it just like feels like a block of ice on your hoo-ha. Like you want the cold sensation down there when you're in pain like that. But this was actually not comfortable to me at all, so I didn't use it. And I want to show you guys before we jump into the other things that you need in your postpartum care kit. I want to show you these pads that they give you at the hospital, because you're gonna need pads. You're gonna need a lot of pads, and you're gonna need the really big ones, but I don't think you need them this big. So when you first have a baby, this is what they give you. It's this gigantic diaper, but don't get me wrong, it does the job, but it's not very comfortable, and it's not very practical for when you leave the hospital and put on regular clothes. Like, who wants to wear this? Can you imagine? So the other thing you want to make sure is in your postpartum kit are pads. So I have a couple different ones in here, but the first ones you want to get are the overnight pads. Whatever brand you decide to use is fine, but make sure you get the overnight pads. These are the Always overnight pads, and I'm just going to open it up so you can see how long it is, just in case you don't know, but we're all ladies, so you should. And it's like the really big ones, the, you know, overnight pads. So you're going to want that because you bleed a lot when you have a baby. It's, like I said, a lot of bodily fluids happening down there, so you are definitely gonna need pads. I did end up getting a variety of pads, just because with my first pregnancy, I didn't bleed as much as people were telling me that you were going to. Like, some people bleed for like a month, some people bleed for 6 weeks, or the entire like postpartum process. That doesn't happen with me, but that's just because I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, so my menstrual is already irregular. So with that in mind, I knew I wasn't going to need the overnight ones for a very long time, so I also went and got me some like regular pads as well, so that once my bleeding stopped, once my bleeding like lightened up, that I could like be more comfortable and not have the overnight ones. I only bled for about 2.5 weeks, and then the rest was just the pain of the tearing. So another thing you're going to need is Colis stool softeners for when you take your first poo and the few poos after that, if you end up tearing. Now, if you guys don't end up tearing, this is not something you're going to need to use, but you definitely want to go pick up these products before you step into the delivery room, just to be on the safe side, because you never know what your situation is going to be, whether you're going to be natural, with the epidural, tear, have a C-section. You never know. It can go either way. Also, get some Motrins to take home with you, because you are not going to just be in pain as far as those contractions go when you're breastfeeding. When you're in the hospital, it's going to continue for a little bit. Like, I think mine lasted for like maybe a week and a half, maybe. Something like that, either a week to a week and a half. So you can get the over-the-counter ones, which is not as strong, but again, it'll help to take the edge off. Then you want to get these Tux cooling pads, and basically what they are, I'm going to take one out and show you. They are medicated witch hazel pads. They're supposed to be for hemorrhoids, but they help when you know, if you have any like tearing or anything. And I still have a few here, so I want to show you. And they're just like these little round pads that you can put on top of your pad. I'm gonna break down for you the whole process at the end, but I just want to kind of share these things with you first. So Get some Tux pads. These are going to be a lifesaver. They feel so good. Oh my gosh. And then you are also going to need some Dermaplast. This helps with the pain relief, and you just kind of spray it down there. This sounds really glamorous, right? I know. And then, of course, if you're breastfeeding, you are going to need some nipple cream, nipple ointment, nipple balm, whichever you prefer. It doesn't matter. Just get some. So this is from Mommy's Love. It's organic nipple balm, and it has a lot of, let me just tell you, some of the ingredients that are in here are like aloe, shea butter. It has some coconut oil, sunflower oil, beeswax, a few other things that I can't pronounce. But this is a lifesaver. Let me just be very honest with you. I breastfed my first child for an entire year, and I plan on probably going even longer with my daughter now. And this stuff you are going to need to continue to buy. It is going to be a lifesaver. When you're breastfeeding, you need to keep your boobs moisturized. You need to keep your nipples moisturized, and that's what this does. Otherwise, you will get cracked nipples. They may bleed. It's not a pleasant process if it becomes too painful, and it's going to discourage you from wanting to breastfeed your child. Now, all my ladies who want to breastfeed, but you're thinking, oh no, I've heard it's hard. I heard it hurts. I'm not gonna lie to you, it hurts in the beginning, but you get used to it. Like the first 2 weeks is most painful because your body is adjusting. When your letdown comes in, it's gonna be like this sensation of like, I want to say needles, not needles like, oh my God, like that sounds awful, but it's like a pins and needles kind of sensation that comes over your boobs, and they get really, really heavy. So then when the baby is actually sucking, you're still feeling like this. It's a weird sensation to describe, but for all of my ladies who are currently breastfeeding or who have done it before, you know exactly what I mean. But it's a weird sensation. But think about like all of the saliva and things like that the baby is sucking all day, you know, every 2 hours when they're first born, and that will cause your nipples to become raw and very dry. So you have to keep them moisturized, or else you will get cracked nipples. I'm gonna do a whole other video on breastfeeding do's and don'ts, and just like all the things that go along with it. So we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, get yourself some nipple cream. So along with the boobs, you need nursing pads. And I'm going to open this one so you can see. So the nursing pads is kind of like the same idea of a regular pad. You just stick it in your bra. So it's this little round pad here, and you just shove it in your bra. It, you know, sits right there, so that if you are, I produce a lot, so my boobs do tend to leak. So you don't want to walk around with your boobs leaking and your shirt wet. That's not cute. So get some nursing pads. All right, guys, so now that we got out of the way all the things that you need in your postpartum kit, I want to just kind of walk you through the process when you go into the bathroom, because it's a little bit of an event, but you know, it's necessary. I'm going to take this one for an example because it's already open. So when you first go to the bathroom, you want to go in the bathroom. You want to fill this up with warm water in your peri cleanser, right? And you go pee-pee, of course. Okay, so we squirt down there while we're peeing, and then we squirt down there also to cleanse. You take your toilet paper, you pat dry, then you spray all over the hoo-ha. Just spray all up in there because it's gonna feel so good. So after you spray, you take your pad, and I'm just gonna take this one for an example. You take your pad here, and you want to take your tucks and kind of just line the pad with the tucks. You can use 2 or 3, but I like to get like that whole area. So you just kind of line them up like this. And then you pull your panties up. And the coolness of this, oh, It feels so amazing. Let's not forget the boobs. And I add the boobs into the bathroom process just because it makes it easier for you to not forget. And every time that you go to the bathroom, you can just, you know, moisturize. So once you've pulled your panties up, you wash your hands, all of that, get you out just a little bit of cream, rub it on each nipple, and that's it. You're good to go. You'll probably already have your nursing pads on there. Keep in mind, a lot of these nipple creams and balms will stain your shirt, so always make sure you have like your nursing pads there as well, because you don't want to mess up your t-shirts or your bras or anything like that. So that's the process, you guys. For my ladies who are currently pregnant and maybe a little nervous about the postpartum process and the pain that goes along with it, just know that once you get to hold your precious baby in your arms and you look them in their eyes, it's gonna make all of this so worth it. So yes, it is painful, but again, everyone's different, and most of these products I only had to use for about 2.5 weeks. Some of them I did go like 3.5 weeks, but I say that to say there is light at the end of the tunnel. I hope you found this video very helpful, and I hope I answered any questions you may have and you have a good idea of what to expect so that you can prepare yourself properly. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, and I promise I will get those questions answered for you. And I'll see you guys in the next video.